Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Elan's Matchup Maximizer, presented by Keeping Karlsson, a podcast where I, Elan Dubrovsky, take a look at next week's NHL schedule to help you be successful in your head-to-head matchups by pointing out teams that have good schedules and players you may want to target on those teams. Of course, the goal of the game here is you're going to be wanting to add players out of free agency that you're going to be able to fit as many games as possible out of into your lineups. So let's get right into it by looking into the schedule for the week of October 23rd to October 29th. And I think my co-host on the Mega Show, Brian, said it best, that the schedule has been relentless. Like, there are not a lot of teams playing a lot of off-day games. We've even got this Tuesday a full slate. Every single NHL team is playing. So every single player is going to be able to fit if you want to fit them in. So you're looking at, people to stream. There's no chance you're going to be able to fit anyone that you stream in onto your team. So you can kind of consider Tuesday like a dead day. Then we've got Thursday, where there are 22 teams playing, which I think is right on the line. Like, I know on my couple team, I could drop a forward and then pick up another forward and have room to put that other forward in. So to me, like that, there is some wiggle room on Thursday. And then Saturday, a little lighter, only 18 teams playing. So I'm going to consider Thursday a busy day for the purposes of when I'm telling you how many busy days and light days people have. But, I'll mention specifically about Thursday because I think that's you might be able to fit someone in. Again, 22 teams playing, it's right on the line, depending on how many bench spots and just how your roster is made up. Then, Monday, Wednesday, super light, only one game on each of those days, and then a little bit more, 6 games on Friday, 4 games on Sunday. But still, those are the days that you're going to be targeting your streamers from for the most part, though also Saturday, like I said, and maybe Thursday. So, basically, we're going to want to try to find just teams playing on other days aside from Tuesday. Let's get into it, okay? The best schedules of the week. If we're looking at teams that play 3 busy days, and I'm not including Thursday, I'm not including Tuesday, we've got 3 of them, okay? We've got Buffalo, New Jersey, and Washington. And I'm going to start in Buffalo because they play on Monday. A lot of these teams, like if the team doesn't play on Monday or Wednesday, then if you're streaming someone in, you're not getting a game until Thursday if you have room, right? Because you're not going to be able to fit your Tuesday streamer in since, like I said, every single team is playing. So the only game on Monday is Montreal versus Buffalo. So even though Montreal technically doesn't have as good of a schedule, like they only have 2 light day games, they go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you might still want to target a HAB again, especially if you could fit the person in on Tuesday, but maybe even not, just to get that Monday game, then you could regroup. But Buffalo goes Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, Sunday. So you're guaranteed to get 3 games outside of the Tuesday. And the Monday game, like I said, is against Montreal, which is a pretty good game for scoring some goals, you would think. So definitely the Sabres are a team to look at, and they just are coming off right now. I'm recording this on Saturday night around 10:30. The Sabres have defeated the Islanders 3-1 with all new lines. So this is like a whole new look Buffalo Sabres. I guess you consider the Tage Thompson line still the top line. Thompson with Cousins and Jordan Greenway. Thompson took 10 shots, no goals. Anyway, but that obviously means Jordan Greenway becomes a pretty interesting streamer, right? If he's playing with Thompson and Dylan Cousins. So he's someone to look at if we want to see what Greenway did in this game today in this new spot. He had an assist. So, okay. It was actually a power play assist, which I don't really get because I don't see him playing on either of the power plays. I'm seeing he had 1 second of power play time. So I'd have to look in and see exactly how that happened. But it was an assist on a goal by Dylan Cousins on the power play. But anyways, that's a good even strength spot. The top power play, you're probably not getting anyone, right? Like Tuck, Thompson, Skinner, Dylan Cousins, they're all going to be rostered in all leagues. Dahlin, of course. So you could look at that top line. And then I guess the other line had Skinner, Tuck, and a new center, Casey Middlestat, taking the spot of Tage Thompson. Middlestat also got on the scoreboard today, a couple of assists, only 1 shot. I should mention Greenway had no shots. So I think your top streamer from Buffalo is probably Casey Middlestat, right? He also gets power play 2 time, which is, not too terrible. So I think that Casey Middlestat is definitely someone you want to target. You get that Monday game against Montreal. Tuesday against Ottawa, you're not going to fit him in, but then you'll get Friday at New Jersey, Sunday, Colorado. Tough teams to play against, but you could score some goals against New Jersey. We saw the Islanders put up a few goals against the Devils. Of course, they couldn't beat them because Jack Hughes is too amazing. So Casey Middlestat right there jumps out as a really great streamer for next week. If we want to go any deeper than that, look, I'm going to look at the players sorted by percent rostered. And if we're looking at people who might be available, I should mention, so 13% of leagues, Casey Middlestat is taken. So he's probably out there for you. Zach Benson is out, so we don't have to worry about him anymore. But he was kind of already losing his spot, not doing too great. Then there's some typical names. Victor Olofsson has been good in the past. He's done nothing this year. JJ Paterka, I liked him better when he was playing with Dylan Cousins. With this shakeup now, we've got Paterka playing with Krebs and Olofsson. So, yeah, I think that obviously anything could happen. But, yeah, those are my streamers that I'm going to be recommending. Either, mainly Middlestat, maybe Greenway, just because of the exposure to Tage Thompson, who we're still waiting on him to really break out. He had a goal in the last game, 10 shots today. So I'm hoping for a big 4-goal Tage Thompson game coming up as someone who has him in the cupful. Okay, let's just go to Montreal. Even though they only have technically the only 2 light day games, but they do play that Monday. And I think you just might want to get, especially if you're listening to this on Sunday and you could use your last move of this week to start planning for next week, get the Monday game and then, reassess. And Montreal also is going to have some players that are not highly rostered that are in decent spots that you might want to target. Probably the number one option is Sean Monahan, right? So I should mention Caulfield and Suzuki obviously taken, Mike Matheson obviously taken. Aside from them, everyone else is probably available in a lot of leagues. And the most recent lines we've been seeing from the Habs have had on the top line Raphael Harvey-Pinard playing with Caulfield and Suzuki. So that's obviously not a bad spot. But then Sean Monahan has been on the top power play with Suzuki, Caulfield, and Josh Anderson and Mike Matheson. And Monahan had a good game today, a goal and an assist in the win over the Washington Capitals. I know it's not like as impressive of a feat as it used to be to defeat the Washington Capitals, but still, Monahan, especially if your league counts power play points, even better. He had that power play goal assisted by Suzuki and Caulfield. Then he assisted on a goal from his, I guess it's the third line. Gallagher scored, assisted by Monahan and Tanner Pearson. But yeah, Monahan is someone who used to be obviously a really valuable fantasy asset back when he was a top liner in Calgary. He's obviously fallen a lot, but it's a pretty good spot on that top line. If you don't want to take Monahan or if he's already taken, so yeah, you could look at Raphael Harvey-Pinard, who hasn't done too much yet. But last year he had a decent run. It's obviously a good spot playing with Caulfield and Suzuki. And then if you're not going to take him, I mean, Alex Newhook has had a couple good games. Like he had that 2 goals against Toronto to start the season. He had a goal a couple games back against Minnesota. Maybe he scores again. He doesn't take a lot of shots, right? So I guess he's just been a bit of a sniper in those 3 goals that he scored so far. You could go with Slavkovsky. You can go with Josh Anderson, like I mentioned, who's also on that top power play, playing on, I guess, what we would call the second line, Slavkovsky, Newhook, and Anderson. So yeah, I think my order here would be Monahan first, then anyone on that second line, probably Josh Anderson, since he's on the top power play, and then Harvey-Pinard. And you got to hope that they're going to get something past the Buffalo Sabres. We'll see who's in net after a really great game today from Comrie. We'll see if he gets the... I think if I was Buffalo, I would play Comrie again on Monday against Montreal and then save Devin Levi to play the Sens, a much more high-powered team on Tuesday. But we'll see what they do. So, okay. Oh, and by the way, if you're you want to stream in a goalie, there you go. Back to back, right? That's your opportunity. And I don't think I would jump on a Montreal goalie unless you're really desperate, especially against Buffalo and New Jersey. But yeah, you can get Eric Comrie and see if he can build on his win. I'm sure he'll get one of those 2 games. They do have another goalie, though. They do have Luukkonen also. So I guess theoretically they won't play Comrie, but that wouldn't be very nice after, Comrie gave them the win. Okay, so those are 2 of the teams with 4 games and playing on the Monday. Then the other 2 teams to look at that play 4 times with 3 off-day games. We've got New Jersey and we've got Washington. Let's just talk about Washington. Okay, what a mess. But today they finally went to that line, or I guess they did it before, but it finally started to pay off a little bit. Dylan Strome is playing with Alex Ovechkin and someone named Matthew Phillips, who I think is like pretty new to the league. Matthew Phillips, has now, after an assist today, and he also had a goal and assist against Calgary, up to 3 points in 4 games for 25-year-old Matthew Phillips, who has now played, how many career games? 7 career games. So, a late entrance to the league, and he's someone maybe to look at. Maybe I'll have to ask Brian about him on the Sunday show, which is tomorrow, of course, and definitely make sure you're subscribed and tune in. Brian and I are going to go over every single team and kind of see what's going on everywhere. But yeah, back to the Capitals that I would target. If you're in a super deep league, maybe you're looking at Matthew Phillips, but if you're not in a super deep league, then maybe Dylan Strome is still out there for you. And like I said, he's coming off a big game. He scored 2 goals. He had 5 shots, which is really great to see, playing with Ovi. Dylan Strome only rostered in 22% of leagues. That's probably going to rise pretty quickly. But if you're listening to this and he's still out there, definitely he would be your top streamer over on Washington. And then I guess you look at the power play, right? So you've got Kuznetsov, Oshie, Backstrom, and Ovechkin. And like Backstrom just really doesn't seem the same. He had 5 shots today. I'm seeing though against Montreal. Kuznetsov, if you can get him, could be pretty good. Oshie, if you can get him, not the worst, I guess. But yeah, I think Dylan Strome is clearly the what person to target here on Washington if you could get him for those good games. Again, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, then Friday, Sunday. So you're going to get 3 off-day games to end the week. Maybe you could, if it's not Dylan Strome, then maybe you could even wait a little bit, and then you can go for one of these other guys. The other lines with like Kuznetsov with Oshie and Connor McMichael. So I don't know. I'm just throwing a bunch of names out, which maybe you don't find too helpful. But yeah, so as far as the players, once again, I'll just recap here. Dylan Strome, number one. I'm looking at players like let's say rostered less than 30%. Dylan Strome, number one. Kuznetsov is at 25%, so he would be my number two. Then Oshie. Then I guess Nicholas Backstrom, and then I guess we got to go to this rookie Matthew Phillips, who I should probably check to see if he's available in my Dynasty League. Probably not, but yeah, before I release this, I'll go check into that. Okay, then the other team with a really good schedule is the New Jersey Devils. Like, good luck getting a Devil, though there have been a couple that have struggled enough that maybe they're starting to get dropped. Like, I'm looking at Dawson Mercer, who's had such a disappointing start to the season. No points so far in his 4 games, so maybe the Mercer manager is frustrated, and like rightly so. I'm not saying that you'd be making a mistake to drop Mercer at this point, especially the Devils have been rolling lines. Hughes, Meyer, and Toffoli, and then Hischier with Bratt and Palat. Leaving, well, then Hischier left the last game, so actually we're gonna have whole new lines probably by next week. But yeah, Mercer's been playing on with like I don't know, Alex Holtz and Chris Tierney or whatever, like bottom 6. So it's not great, but you're not going to get many people from New Jersey. That's the problem. Like Hughes is going to be gone, Meyer, Bratt, Hischier, Toffoli. If you could get Luke Hughes, that'd be amazing. He's already up to 75% rostered on Yahoo now that he's jumped on the top power play. And then yeah, finally, then you fall to Dawson Mercer, who's still 50% rostered, but that's way, way too high. Maybe you take even actually, you know what I'm going to say? I'd take Palat over Dawson Mercer just because of that deployment. So yeah, if you want to grab a Devil, and again, you're getting those 3 off-day games. Again, it's the Wednesday, Friday, Sunday after Tuesday, and that Wednesday is against Washington, and we know they're not very good anymore, and the Tuesday is against Montreal if you want to try to fit your person in there. So yeah, give me Palat, then give me Mercer, and then you're like really in the dregs because again, so many Devils are rostered because that team is insane. Jack Hughes totally has destroyed me this week. Heartbreaking to watch that game go down on Thursday and just see my opponent get more and more and more points. So better luck next week for me. Okay, which is why I'm already targeting maybe a Montreal or Buffalo player. Okay, so those are 4 of the teams that play 4 times next week. There are still a couple more, so we'll get into them in just a sec after a quick break. All right, welcome back to the Matchup Maximizer podcast. It's possible you didn't even hear an ad because that's been my experience when listening to our Keeping Karlsson episodes lately. So hopefully you enjoyed that 3 seconds of silence to reflect. Maybe go grab one of those streamers. There still are 2 more teams playing 4 times. And again, if Thursday, if you could fit someone in, because I said there's 22 teams playing kind of right in the middle, then maybe it doesn't matter. All these teams are the same. If they play 4 times, you're going to get 3 of them. Just obviously not the Tuesday game. So yeah, the other teams playing 4 times are Minnesota and San Jose. So let's start in a happy place, or at least a happier place, Minnesota, because the Sharks, woof. What, did this game end yet? No, they're playing right now against Nashville, and it's 5-1 with like a minute 45 left. Let's see who scored for the Sharks, actually, just for fun. Hurdle. Okay, well, you're not getting him. Assisted by Mario Ferraro and Nikolai Knizhov. I don't think you're going to want to add any of them. I saw that San Jose's decided not to do the 4 or 5 forward power play. So, oh my God, Kyle Burrows has the most power play time today of Sharks defensemen, but I'm not going to recommend him. And of course, he did nothing. Wow, this team, brutal. Sorry to Sharks fans out there. Who had a good game today? Mike Hoffman had 4 shots. Barabanov had 4 shots. So look, so you could go for a Shark. I don't even really want to spend too much time trying to come up with a recommendation. I'm just going to tell you what the lines were today. But of course, they are losing 5-1 to Nashville, so those lines are probably just going to change. But it's been Duclair and Barabanov with Hurdle. Probably you'll want to target the person playing with Hurdle. Then Hoffman with Sturm and Zetterlund. And I can't. Zadina has been playing also. It looks like the lines have been shaken up a lot. Kevin LeBanc has gotten into the lineup. Look, Like, good luck. I guess you're going for a Duclair, a Barabanov, or a Hoffman. They're on the power play with Hurdle and whatever defenseman happens to get up there. So you could target a Shark. Good luck with that. Minnesota, maybe you'll have a little bit more luck here. So you're obviously not going to get Kaprizov, Boldy, Zuccarello, Eriksson Ek are all going to be taken. There might be some other people available. Next up is Ryan Hartman, only 28% rostered. He has been like sticking on the top line in Minnesota, playing with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. And it's not going too great, which is why he's not rostered too much. We did have an assist today against Columbus, so who knows if maybe he's going to be able to start building on that. So yeah, I should tell you what the actual schedule is here. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So again, like you're adding someone from Minnesota, but then you're not fitting them in until Thursday. So it would be tempting to wait, but all your opponents might be thinking the same thing, in which case maybe you have to jump. And yeah, Ryan Hartman's a pretty appealing guy on that top line. Then you can go for someone on the next line. Yeah, with Matt Boldy injured, it becomes a little bit less exciting to go for anyone not on the top line or the top power play. And look, there is a name of someone I haven't said that's on the top power play, and that's Marcus Johansson, who's been filling in for Boldy there. And then Johansson's also playing with Joel Eriksson Ek and Pat Maroon as their third line mate. I bet you a lot of people listening didn't even know Pat Maroon was on Minnesota, but there you go. So Marcus Johansson is on the top power play. He's had a really good game actually today against Columbus, 2 assists. So finally, he had no points in his first 3 games and now 3 points in his last 2 games. So yeah, I'd still take Ryan Hartman, but yeah, Marcus Johansson in a good spot and maybe starting to turn it on a little bit. This game's not even over actually. It's 4-4 right now. Maybe Johansson gets in overtime. But yeah, actually, Marcus Johansson, I think, just scored a goal, bring him to 1 goal and 2 assists. Do I change? I don't know. Maybe you ride the hot hand here and go with Marcus Johansson. He is on the top power play. None of these points have even come on the power play. So you never know. Maybe Marcus Johansson still has even more to give. All right. You know what? He scored, assisted by Pat Maroon. Let's do it. Marcus Johansson will be my top pick here on Minnesota. And actually, maybe one of my top picks here of the week. If you can fit all 3 of those off-day games, why not? Boldy's not going to be back for a while. I guess I still do like Casey Middlestat if he's going to be centering Skinner and Tuck. So maybe him, though. Top power play on Minnesota. No, I mean, yeah, all else equal. But again, it's sometimes nice to target those Monday games. Marcus Johansson looking pretty good, in a pretty good spot. Obviously, I really liked what he did with Boldy last year. But now I don't know. Do you cheer? If you have Johansson, do you cheer for Boldy to come back so he gets him as a line mate, but he loses the power play? I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to read too much into. Oh, by the way, looking at this Columbus-Minnesota game, I'm seeing Adam Fantilli scored his first goal here, a power play goal. This is by Provorov and Danforth. That's exciting. I've already dropped him. He's since been dropped again. He was grabbed by someone in my couple division and then dropped also. I wonder if now people will be starting to go for him. It was just from the second power play. But anyways, this is the matchup maximizer, not the Sunday show where we'll get into like all the, not only looking at the teams with good schedules. But yeah, that does it for teams playing 4 times. There's still a few other teams that are going to give you 2 off-day games. If you happen to be full also on Thursday, if you're full on Tuesday and Thursday and you're just looking for anyone to grab, not on those days, and I've already given you some teams. I'll just throw some other teams to do. LA Kings. Trevor Moore, we'll obviously talk about him on Sunday, but LA goes Tuesday and then Friday and Saturday. So this would be like a move where you just wait, hopefully, and then you wait till like Friday and then you drop someone. You grab Trevor Moore, who might like have been rostered already in a lot of leagues because he's scored goals in 3 straight games. Going into today, there's a game about to start against Boston as I start recording this, but he is red hot and someone you would definitely want to try to get on the hot streak for. I'll talk to Brian again and see how sustainable we think this is, because he's taking a lot of shots. So that's good to hear for Trevor Moore. Arthur Kaliev is another person that you may want to target. He's had a really nice return after being suspended. 3 points in 2 games going into today. So we'll talk about both Moore and Kaliev on the Sunday show for sure. Who else here can I mention? So we're looking at teams that play at least 2 light day games, even though only 3 times total. And we've pretty much, there's only a couple left now, Vancouver and Vegas. And yeah, you definitely have some interesting guys you can take from Vancouver, specifically Ilya Mikheyev, who finally is playing his first game of the year today. It was a 5-3 win over Florida. And you know what? Not too bad. Picked himself up an assist, took 4 shots. Playing on the top line with Pedersen and Kuzmenko, who are not going to be available for you to take. So yeah, definitely I wouldn't mind taking a shot on Mikheyev. So you get Friday, Saturday after the Tuesday game. So again, maybe you can just wait and then come like Thursday, whatever. That's when you target your Vancouver guy. And yeah, Mikheyev is definitely the one. Connor Garland somehow didn't do anything, even though he was playing on that top line. Actually has an assist today, even though he got dropped to lower in the lineup. Yeah, I wouldn't be targeting Connor Garland. I would definitely be looking at Mikheyev as the streamer over in Vancouver. And then I mentioned Vegas, so I guess we could end up with them. They're having a fun time against the Blackhawks right now, winning 5-2 in the second. And when we're looking at who's doing well here that might be available, I'm just looking at the game log right now. Paul Cotter has a goal and an assist, 2-point game there. William Karlsson has a goal. William Karlsson's been having a nice start to the season, and he's someone who isn't roster. He's actually a free agent in my couple division for what it's worth. I wonder, I'll bet you anything that Karlsson's going to get taken before Friday, which is, by the way, another game against Chicago. And yeah, William Karlsson is up to now with his goal today, 6 points in 6 games. So a lot like his first season in Vegas with this production. So obviously it won't last to that extent, but he becomes a really good streamer. So those would be a couple players to look at for later next week. And then I guess we can also just quickly look at the teams with the worst schedules. There's a bunch of teams that play 2 times. I guess the worst would be people who only play Tuesday, Thursday, because you might be full, in which case you might be wanting to look at your roster and see if you have someone from Tampa Bay or from Dallas who you don't expect to play. I guess we're looking at like a Nick Paul, who, does nothing, then has a big game on the power play, then does nothing again. So if you got the last Nick Paul good game, thank him. But I don't think you're fitting him in on Tuesday or Thursday. The Thursday is against San Jose, so it might be worth it just to get that game. But he would be the person that you'd maybe want to target. And then Dallas, they have a lot of those fringe guys, like a Tyler Seguin, who, has been, decent enough. But maybe he's not worth holding if you're not going to fit him into your lineup next week. You're only going to get the one game. But he did score a goal today in this game against Philly, which right now is in overtime. As I talk, it's his 3rd game in a row with a point. So, you know what? Let me mark Tyler Seguin down as someone to bring up to Brian for the Sunday show at the very least. He's always been a fan of Tyler Seguin. Maybe he'll say that he believes that he can build on this, even though he's not getting the greatest deployment, not getting top power play. But hey, a hot streak is a hot streak, and Tyler Seguin used to be a huge superstar. Okay. Well, that does it for this week's Matchup Maximizer. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully, I've given you some names to consider. Again, it's another tough week where hopefully you're just going to have a good enough roster that you don't have to depend too much on streaming. But yeah, definitely try to go for those 3 bonus games. If you have like a Tyler Seguin who's not getting your lineup at all, and you could drop him for like a Washington player or a New Jersey player or a Buffalo player that's giving you like 3 off-day games, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? To make that swap, even if you like Seguin a little bit better than the person you're adding. So that's the reason for this show. Tweet at Keeping Karlsson. Love to hear if you end up making any moves based on what you heard today. Also, we've got our Matchup Maximizer channel in the Discord. If you're a patron of Keeping Karlsson, would love to hear what you think. And I'll be back talking to you again in less than 24 hours, as Brian and I will be doing the mega show, breaking down everything that's been going on in the past week over the entire NHL. So I will talk to you then. Good luck with your streaming, and thanks for listening.